From Wichita Falls to Paris, from Atoka, Oklahoma to the Dallas area, Texoma has a thriving music scene. Revolving around country rock and blues, the singer-songwriters of the Texoma area reach into the outlying geographic enclaves here and there around the country. It's a scene of music that is defined more by geography than it is a sound and encompasses all the facets of the music scene on either side of the border. Denison, Texas is the hub of this music region, and it's music-friendly in so many ways. Long-standing tradition and musical family spanning generations are the hallmark of this area. Denison is also one of the first 20 cities in the state of Texas to be designated a music-friendly city by the state. My name is Ann House, and I'm a singer here in the Texoma area. We're live casting from beautiful downtown Denison at the Podcast on Main studio. This is Open Mic with Ann House. Good evening and welcome to Open Mic with Ann House. We're down here in beautiful downtown Denison, right across the street from Heritage Park and across the way from the 34 Chop House. And tonight our guest is Jason Elmore. Say hi, Jason.
Hi, Jason. Where do I look? Where's the camera?
There's a camera here, here, and here.
All right.
And if you want to see what people are seeing, that's where you can see. Yeah.
My moves for you. I'll save them. I'll save them.
Yeah. It's initially when we first talked, we were going to discuss things like self-promotion. You did a lot of self-promotion on this last album. You did a lot of self-production on the last album as well, right?
Yeah, all the self-production.
All of it. Wow. So do you have a studio in your house or something like that?
I don't. I used a January Sound Studio, which is a legendary studio in
Want water?
Addison, I think. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
In
and
Addison.
It closed up recently after many years. Just not a lot of people are going to studios to record. A lot of people are trying it at home and releasing stuff that's not as good, but definitely cheaper and more accessible.
It is a lot more accessible.
I intend to get a home studio together now that I'm getting settled into my new home.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a room just for it. I've just got to get it together. I've got the stuff. I just need to learn how to use it. I've got to pay somebody to teach me how to use it. I still use pen and paper when I'm writing songs and stuff. So.
I know somebody who can show you.
All right.
So you have 4 albums out, Upside Your Head, Tell You What, Champagne Velvet, and Rise Up Lights. Rise Up Lights being the most recent one, of course. Which one did you have the most fun on? Now, I know that is a kind of a relative thing. I mean, it's rather subjective because, you know, what's fun about one thing may be. But which one did you have the most fun on?
Well, I guess the first one was the funnest because it was still dangerous and
dangerous.
And didn't know what I was doing exactly. Still learning. It was all brand new.
Right.
I felt bigger than my britches because I was doing it, and thought that it mattered much more than it actually does. So that was fun, but also this last one was just as fun because I've learned from my mistakes and victories, and just did it a little different with this last album. I did it completely a different way than I've done the previous 3 albums.
This is a departure from your normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most of my stuff is blues-based, kind of blues rock, kind of Stevie Ray Vaughan, ZZ Top-ish, just as a blanket. I don't sound like either of those, but
you don't.
People like to put things into, this goes here and that goes there.
I know, right? They do.
But with this last one, I've always had a love for hard rock. In fact, I started off in heavy metal bands here in the area.
Oh, really?
Like 20-something years ago.
Right.
So I've always had a love for heavier stuff, and I've always played it in my live shows, but never had a full album worth of it. Mm-hmm. A lot of times I give somebody that's a diehard metal fan an album that starts out with kind of a blues influence, and they're not going to listen to that. They don't like it. It's not metal enough, bro.
Which is a shame.
Right. And the same with the blues guys. If they're diehard blues police, and you give them something that's got some distorted guitars, they're gonna do the St. Vitus dance.
Bypass it, right? St. Vitus dance. Oh
so with this one, I just wanted to reach the people that like good 70s rock like it used to be made. Guitars up front, kind of Van Halen, Led Zeppelin vibes.
Right.
Not that I would put myself up there with either of those acts, but it's
No,
definitely
I've
influenced.
listened to you. You're pretty good.
Oh, thanks. I'm learning, but it's definitely influenced by that early pre-heavy metal is what I would call it. Before people started singing with Cookie Monster vocals too much. You know?
Cookie Monster vocals.
So
I don't think I've ever
it's not
heard
heavy metal.
that.
It's not heavy metal by today's standards.
Oh.
But heavy metal by what might have been considered that in 1978.
Yeah. But you're not quite that old.
I was born in 78, so I just used that year.
Oh, okay. And is that, a personal preference? You just really like the music out of that? Because, look, dude, I was born 10 years earlier than that. I actually know the music. I was listening to it.
Sure.
So
It's the best music. I'm a big fan of any music from the 20s, like a lot of pre-war blues
Right.
and early roots of country music, what
Yeah.
became country music. The 30s and 40s, the jazz and swing that happened during that time. The 50s, all the orchestra stuff that started coming into pop music and country music.
Yeah.
And then the 60s psychedelic, and 70s. Somebody is really
Somebody's
wanting their
having-
wife to come out of the shop and sing.
I think they do. It's either that or come out of the chop house, Dad. You know?
But yeah, just all those eras of music were just so good for the 80s, the 90s. And then to me, for my money, it stopped
hit
at
the
2000.
90s. I know.
It didn't, because there's still good stuff. There's
There
still
is.
good stuff. You got to just dig for it a little harder, and it's not quite as. It's just not. Maybe I'm older, but it just doesn't hit me the same way as. I know I am old now. I sound like get off my lawn. Back in my day, we had good music. These kids, I don't know what they're listening to. And I guess it's always been that way though, because
I think
I'm
every
sure-
generation has that.
I'm sure when Elvis came along, the older folks were going, "What? The Dorsey Brothers are real music. That is noise." And I know for a fact my parents heard me listening to Alice Cooper and Metallica and went, "What is this? It's not even music. That's not even music." George Strait. Now that's music for
That's
you.
music. I know, right?
So I feel like that's just the way it always has been. But
I would have to agree with you. My dad listened to folk music, which is what we had before country music.
Sure.
The way country music came out, and he kind of morphed into that, and he listened to that too. But my mom was a bluegrass person, and so I don't sing either of those particularly, but I understand what they mean, because I remember listening to Sean Cassidy and Peter Frampton and who else? Anyways, and it was very, very different than what my parents listened to. But I developed a taste for all kinds of music. I don't listen to all kinds of music on a regular basis, right? Like, I'm not a super big fan of hip hop, although it does have its definite place in the musical universe.
sure,
It's
especially
just not-
90s hip hop.
Yeah,
Really
see,
good.
I listened to Will Smith, right? Rap, hip hop, whatever you want to call it at the time.
Slap rap.
Slap rap. Yeah, no kidding. And that kind of music, but then again, I'm a historical music person, period, right? If it goes all the way back to the Middle Ages, I'm a happy camper, right?
Right on. I digressed, but
No,
I just wanted
please.
to make something that was hard rock and kind of a throwback to the hard rock from 70s, 80s, and 90s.
And you
with
think
this-
you
with this
achieved
album.
that?
Yeah, I like it. And I was ready with this one for if nobody listens to it and nobody likes it, rain on them, because I think it smokes. I think it really rocks. And I've not said that about any of my other albums, simply because they've kind of been done in a hurry, and somebody else has kind of helped pay for them in the past, and it's like I've got to work quick and in the studio kind of improvising and settling for what okay, that's good enough. Whereas this one, I'd spent literally years crafting each note, each solo. There's nothing improvised. It was all very expensive, but I was able to take my time and
But you got
spend
what
my
you
own
wanted
money
out
on
of it.
Yeah.
Right? You got what you wanted out of it.
Well, I could keep working on it, but I just realized I was behaving like a madman. It had been 3 years. I was just spending money, pouring money into this thing, and other
Right.
people's money too. People were, all the tip jar money and stuff was going
into
not
that.
towards sandwiches anymore. It was going towards guitar solos.
Yeah, I get that. I sat in and listened to, because Oliver was upstairs recording over the weekend, and I had to come up and talk to Chris about something anyways, and So I sat there and I listened to it, and it's like, I can certainly see how you can get bogged down in the weeds by trying to make something perfect.
Sure. And it's never going to be.
And it never really will.
But
and
you can't tell me that when I'm
when
I've got enough money and time to put on something. I want it to be just right.
Right.
But it never is, So I finally just had to go, all right, this is good enough. I can live with this. I'm proud of it.
Perfection is something that is not achievable, but it is always something to shoot for.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
The experience, though, of doing all the production, all the promoting, all of that, how hairy was that? And you previously in your other 3 albums, somebody else had done a lot of that. Now you're having to take that all on yourself.
Well, I didn't do anything more, technical wise than before. I can't engineer a record. I had to pay an engineer to mix and master and record it. And then, of course, my bandmates, Brandon Katona and Mike Talbot, they played the drum and bass parts.
Right.
Because I can't play either of those. So just basically that. And then just me going back over and doing guitar lines over again and rehashing stuff, listening to it a few months later and going, oh, okay, I've got a better idea now. And
a lot of changes.
I'm still growing. I still wish I could sing the whole dang thing one more time because I've grown as a singer since I got done with all of it. But what are you going to do?
I think we all do.
Hit the next one. I'll hit the next one extra hard.
Okay. What do you got on the horizon, though?
Well, I just got moved into a new house, so that's all my creative time has been taken up with renovating a home.
That's always
for the last half a year. But now I'm getting settled in, and I've got a good practice schedule established where I'm practicing every day and growing and learning new stuff and writing new stuff. My phone is full of little snippets of me humming or or playing a guitar or something. So I look forward to going through there and finding some good ideas and running with those.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll go. I might do something more bluesy again. I've got a couple of songs that are a little more country, like chicken picking country, Junior Brown type stuff.
Chicken picking,
like fast, upbeat, like hee haw country, stuff like that. Right. When country was fun, and you had to really play an instrument well to be in there.
Oh, I know. It was like listening to Roy Clark, and on the banjo, those fingers moved like lightning, and he had such great sounds. My God,
and guitar too. He could just forevermore tear up a guitar.
I think he could play. The guy who plays with me, Tim Rogers, he plays like 5 different instruments: harmonica, piano, guitar, bass. He can fiddle fart around on a ukulele pretty well too. But I don't know. Is it the same now? Because Oliver White's the same way. He can play guitar, he can play bass, he can play drums. Actually, he does pretty good with drums. I don't play an instrument, so I don't have a frame of reference for that. So. You said you don't play drums, you don't play bass.
I want to.
Yeah?
I want to be like Prince. I want to. I mean it. I want to be just fabulous. No, I want to learn how to. I mean, I have some rudiments of bass, and I intend to learn some rudiments of drums, and just get good enough to where I can record my own ideas, and then pay somebody else to redo them the right way. But yeah, I want to be able to do that, all that stuff. I see guys like Oliver that can play, multiple instruments, piano and guitar and this and that. Mm-hmm. If you give me one more string on the guitar, I would be throwing like 6 strings is all I can stay with right now. Yeah, I'm so deep in it and learning things and trying to make sense of the puzzle that I just don't have time to.
Learn something
brain space for anything else.
Yeah, it's hard. I was raised as a vocalist, right? So playing while I'm trying to sing just seems so foreign to me that I think that's my stumbling block, right? To learning that. I don't make the connection.
Oh, you get it. Just got to keep doing it. That didn't come so hard to me, but singing well did. That's something I'm only in the last couple of years that I went, oh, geez, I should maybe put
a little effort
half as much time into singing well as I do playing the guitar well.
So what
That's
did you
most
do?
people are listening for.
Yeah.
You know, most people, a lot of people.
There are a lot of people that listen for it.
If
Yeah.
the vocals are not good, then they go. You know, it's like me with metal. If
Yeah,
I'm great with
okay.
it, I'm great with all the odd time signatures and the math. I'm in it, baby. But then once Cookie Monster takes the mic, I'm like, oh no, I can't. I'm just not that angry anymore, I guess.
Yeah, I
don't,
guess.
It's,
Well, I don't know.
can't do
Metal
it.
doesn't have to be angry,
I know.
does it?
I like Slayer and Pantera, and that's almost Cookie Monster land, but
Almost Cookie Monster
quite.
Land. So what did you do? What changes did you make to make your vocalization better?
I really just paid attention to it and started
Breath work,
like finding
that
a
kind
couple
of
of singers that I really like and studying how they do it and looking at YouTube. YouTube's been a huge help.
Oh, I know, right?
Because you can, you know, how to sing like Chris Cornell. and there'll be somebody on there that can, you know, teach you about singing with your diaphragm or teach you things like laying on the ground and singing so that you learn to use your stomach to sing with it. Whereas I was always kind of nasally and throaty. But in the last couple of years, I've been developing my lungs and just learning how to do it properly. Warming up is a huge thing.
Yeah, it is.
I never warmed up anything before. Of course, I guess I'm 45 now, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I never thought I had to warm up. Of course, I did a lot of alcohol and drugs too, which I don't do anymore. I don't drink anymore. That helped a lot with the singing.
Yeah.
It kept you know,
Alcohol
doesn't help
does
with the
not do
nerves.
anything good for your vocal bands.
Yeah, it doesn't help with the nerves. There's that sweet spot where you can sing better than anything, but then I always take it over the edge, and then you sing worse than anything. You think but you don't have sense enough to know that it's bad, you know?
I think that would be the alcohol and the drugs saying that. Yeah.
For sure it would. Took me a long time to learn that lesson, but I got it. But just things like that, staying hydrated, drinking a lot of water. The day before a performance, I found, you know, a lot of people try to hydrate a couple hours before they go on stage.
Yeah, no, it doesn't
But
work
really,
that
it's
way.
the day before. Like if you really get things hydrated and lubed up the day before, then it's kind of like loading up with carbohydrates. You know, your body will work. You'll have a great workout if you ate spaghetti the night before.
Yeah.
You know, you don't eat it right before the workout.
No, no, that's true. When your new album, when you went to it, was it and we briefly talked about this too, but it was an effort to keep you from being pigeonholed.
Well, yeah, kinda. I've always been pigeonholed into the blues thing, which is fair enough. I've played for a lot of blues societies and blues festivals, and still will and still do, and I love it. I still listen to a lot of blues, all kinds of different blues. But I've always liked just as much other people's, like the Led Zeppelin, which is an interpretation of the blues. You know, they were just doing it a different way. Black Sabbath the same way before they discovered the flat fifth. They were very much kind of a blues type band.
Right.
So I've always just kind of liked those loud drums and distorted guitars and the Jimi Hendrix treatment.
Yeah.
I like that. It feels more natural. I feel like I'm more authentic doing that than trying to play traditional style blues. I can play the traditional stuff. I love it. I used to play it, you know, a lot and try to capture just that spirit, that essence of that stuff. But as I get older, I want to sound like me. And I'm made up of a bunch of different. I'm made up of equal parts Buck Owens, Pantera, Van Halen, and just any of my musical influences that I've ever listened to.
Right.
I try to absorb some of it and have it come out in my playing without sounding like I'm copying somebody else.
Yeah. No, I get that. Historical music is very, very much a part of what I like to do. So I get it.
What kind of historical music you?
Medieval music.
All right.
I've been a member of the Society for Creative Anachronism for 30 years.
Like Baroque.
Baroque music is a part of that. We're talking anywhere from 600 to 1600. Well, it's actually 1650. So any music that falls in that. Now, there is a style of music called filk that is written now but uses those types of influences. And it's there's a large group of people in the society who who write music that has a very medieval flair to it, and I love to listen to that. And we're talking about a bunch of people who get out in the big fields with armor and sticks and beat on each other and do try to recreate today we would call them crafts, but at the time it was simply things that they did on a daily basis, like weaving or creating. It's called garb. People would call it costuming, but and to do it in a strictly traditional fashion if you can. And music is a part of that, and I love to sing that kind of music. It's one of my favorite kinds. So adding those kinds of influences into anything I sing is pretty much a given, right? It's
Right.
And then
I bet when
music,
you're doing those events, you can't let much of your other influences creep into that kind
really
of music because they want to hear that. They want to hear that. They don't want to hear your version of it blended with
blues.
Something else, so
something.
I get that.
No,
a lot of the places,
true.
a lot of the blues venues that I play, especially when touring, are that way. Like they don't want to hear any rock and roll. They want to dance. They want Texas shuffles and more.
That seems to be a Texas thing.
Yeah.
I saw when I was doing some of the research here. I noticed quite a few reviews from the Netherlands on your page, and I was kind of curious about that. When did you go overseas and go to or was it something that they picked up on?
I went to Belgium. My band.
Oh wow!
I went to Belgium on a short tour with Jim Suler and Monkey Beat. Many years ago. And I guess I developed a lot of fans there.
That's got to have been a really interesting trip.
Yeah, it was cool. It was real cool. It was a lot different, I'll tell you.
Yeah?
It was different. They have air conditioners in the room. I like it cold and dark when I sleep. Good luck with that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there's nothing to eat. Like at night, there's no snack machines or McDonald's or convenience stores. Like you're through. Like you should have eaten when
everybody else
supper.
did?
Like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it is kind of weird to hear that.
Learned after a few days to you got to get up early, or you're not going to eat breakfast. There's not going to be anything when you wake up hungover.
Oh, wow.
Like you got to force yourself to get up and go back to bed.
Yeah, but I imagine you're such a night owl because of the job, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I do better at night. My brain works better at night.
I know a lot of people who are like that.
I wish I love being up in the morning. I really love being up before the world's up and seeing the sun come up. There's something really magical about that. I love it. But I'm not creative at that time. I can't practice effectively or write or anything. I can't do anything but enjoy the moment at that time. But at night, after everyone's gone to bed, I can do a lot of things.
That seems to be a lot of musicians. I've noticed that, right? Because Tim practices at night, and he does a lot of his he learned to play piano, and so he's laying down tracks with what he's doing on the piano. But that nighttime is when he tends to get a lot more. Oh, look, I can do this, that kind of thing. And Oliver is up all night. A lot of my other quasi-musician friends they're up late at night, and that's when they're doing their thing. And I sleep. Yeah. I go to sleep. My husband says I turn into a pumpkin after midnight, and he is right, and I sleep during the nighttime, so I don't have that same time, so I get to do it in the mornings. And luckily, I'm a morning person, so we're good with that.
I wish I was. I look up to a lot of guitar players that I know that their thing is to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and put in an hour of practice with their coffee and do their best work of the day at that time. I hope maybe as I get older, I'll turn into that.
Who do you look up to?
Anybody that can play well, and some people that don't even play well. I really look up to Andy Timmons. He's a guitar player. Just whatever heroes that I'm into at the time, my tastes change every few months, and I'll really get into something and just wear it out. And I tend to.
That influences your writing?
That influences my writing and my practice. I don't know how to put it into words exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just it does something to me. It inspires me a certain way that I can't put into words, and makes me want to create like they do, but not like they do. It just inspires me. I constantly get inspired by music that I get into.
Right.
And then I'll go for sometimes a year or so without being inspired by anything. And it's a really drag. And I'll go,
That
well, I
is a
guess
drag,
that's
isn't
it.
it?
I guess that's it for me. I guess I'm too old. And then I'll find something.
Yeah.
And go, what's this? And I'll stick my foot in further and further. And then, I'm back, baby. I'm in it. I just recently went through a huge phase of, there's a Canadian band called Big Wreck. They had some hits in the 90s. And the
Big
singer
Wreck.
sings like Chris Cornell and plays guitar like Andy Timmons. So two of my favorite things there in one.
Yeah.
And I just really went off the deep end into them for the last year. I'm coming out of it now.
So what kind of music do they? You said
Rock, kind
just
of
a really
hard, kind of hard rock, kind of 80s / alternative 90s hard rock.
Some of that grunge stuff.
Kind of grungy. They came out at that time when Alice in Chains and Soundgarden and Pearl Jam came out, but they kind of sound like their own thing. If you heard some, you'd go, okay, I remember that song.
Yeah, probably would. So how did that influence what you wrote?
Didn't influence what I wrote necessarily, because I haven't been working on writing since I've just finished up the album. I'm just still doing the promotion campaign for that. But influenced my hunger to want to get better at the instrument and better at singing.
Oh, that's always a plus.
Finding that band was one of the things that made me go, oh, God, I wish I could sing. That guy sings so well. I got to figure out what he's doing. And then, like I said, went on YouTube and found different interviews where he's talking to vocal coaches and stuff. You're getting great information here that we'd have never got before the internet,
I know, right?
But it just really inspires me to go, okay, now I know what I can do to get better. I'll never sound like that, probably. I'll sound like me, but at least I know what tools are available to go with. Because, sometimes back in the day, you wouldn't know what to do, how to get better. I would know what I wanted to sound like on the guitar, but I wouldn't know how to do
get it to do that.
Right. And how to find more music that does that. Because you couldn't sample music before you paid for it back then. So
I know.
It was hard to find stuff that was right in my wheelhouse for a long time. But
yeah, I remember standing in the record store and doing thumbing through the records.
Buying based on the album artwork.
Right.
I did a lot of that.
Oh, gosh, yes. Sadly, I do remember that.
Columbia House, remember Columbia House? Where you get like, what was it, 100 CDs for a penny?
Yes.
And then you pay for them later.
Oh, you do.
We never paid for them. Nobody ever paid for them.
Nobody ever paid for them.
Thankfully, they went out of business and never came after any of us. But yeah, I found a lot of stuff because you'd have to, you could find, I've been wanting that album. I know it. But you get 30 more choices you can order.
I know. And you go through and pick, okay, that looks interesting.
Cool,
that looks cool.
And I found out a lot of music that way. I found a lot of trash, but a lot of it would be, oh, wow, this is really cool. I never would have known it would sound good.
Yeah. No, yes, I remember that too. Boy, do I remember that. That's how my preferred genre is country music, and that's how I found Patsy Cline and more of Patsy Cline and things that I had never heard her do before, right?
Sure.
And all the big ones, of course, Loretta Lynn and Dolly and all that. But I'm afraid that somebody said once that I would make a really good top 40s DJ because that's what I listen to songs instead of bands, right? So there are songs out there that I like. There are songs that I don't like from particular bands, and so I don't always listen to a whole album. And, that may be a little bit of a downfall, but hey, I know what I like for the most part. But thanks to Sirius XM radio, I get things, and Spotify. Now you find out new stuff because it's really hard to cycle through that stuff when you're driving, right?
And they make it easy. Hey, you like that so much, maybe you like this.
Yeah,
sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're right.
And the algorithm in Spotify does the same thing. Yeah. So it finds things that it thinks that I might like, and half the time it's right, half the time it's not.
I hate it. It's so bittersweet because it's so helpful for so many things, but the being able to get the art for free and it's bittersweet.
Get the art for free.
Well, it's well known that the payment scheme for streaming music is not fair to the artist.
It is not.
The artist's favor. So
no, that's absolutely true. It is not.
But you can find so much great stuff. Even as an artist, I'm guilty of it too. I listen to stuff for free. If I really get into something, though, I really get into it, and I'll buy all their stuff and their concert tickets and their T-shirts and everything.
Right.
As evidenced by my recent Big Wreck.
Oh my! Do you have a Big Wreck haul?
Well, I got coffee cups and everything.
Oh my gosh!
No, but
coffee cups, T-shirts, hats, and koozies.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a blessing and a curse, I guess. I miss the internet from like when dial-up was a thing. Remember, like in
I do.
In 97, 98. That's if we could go back to that, where you could still find stuff. You had to navigate Napster if you want free music. You want to steal music, you got to.
I remember
You got to take a risk for some viruses with it.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
But there wasn't all the social media and all the perils that come with the way things are nowadays with the internet.
No, that's true.
It's too much.
The music industry has changed a lot in the last 20 years thanks to social media platforms, starting with MySpace and moving all the way up through into what we have now. Sure. How did that change the way you marketed, the way you promoted this last album?
Shoot, I'm still trying to figure it out. Because it changes so often,
It does, doesn't it?
I would just get a handle on Instagram or Facebook, and then nobody's using that anymore. Now it's TikTok, and I don't have a TikTok. I draw the line. I can't.
You finally drew the line
time.
at TikTok.
Yeah, I try to keep up on Instagram and some on Facebook, and try to. I realize the importance of releasing content regularly,
right?
Because you have to do that, but it's just a lot to. It's a learning process for me because used to, the artist got to focus on making art. You didn't have to do all this. Other people would do those sort of things for you, promote you, and publicize you, which you'd pay. I paid for publicists with all my previous albums. Mm-hmm. Huge cost, and not always a lot of reward from it.
Right.
But but the flip side of that is there's no gatekeepers. Anybody can. Yeah,
that's what I was
can
about
release
to...
music now. So
does that
it makes it a lot more accessible for people to hear my music because I don't have to be with a big label like Sony
or is that a double-edged sword in a lot of ways?
It really is because I don't make the money. Like I get a check for
34 cents.
34 cents occasionally, or it's more than that because I do all the sound exchange and BMI, and I register all the places that you need to do so that you can collect income worldwide for your plays and streams.
Right.
It's not near worth the money that you put into making the project, but if we were doing this for money to begin with, I would have been dead a long time ago because there's never been any money in the music for me. I've just always enjoyed doing it. I'm very thankful that I'm able to do it and able to keep growing and learning, and I still have a hunger to do it.
That seems to be a common thread.
And I'm able
hear
to
that
live
a lot.
my own life. I don't have to work a factory job or
right.
some asshole boss tell me what to do or,
You're the asshole boss.
I'm the asshole boss, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any children, so that makes it easy, too, to do what I want. If I had I had other mouths to feed, it would probably be a different story. But
yeah, I can see that, certainly.
Thankfully, I'm a slacker, and I don't have no responsibilities besides myself and my dog.
You had a couple of videos. So, Tristan, if you would go ahead and start with the first one that I sent through. Hopefully Chris got them to you.
It's not like an Uncle Rico moment. Hey, y'all want to see my video?
No.
Football. You thought it was going to be something bad, but then it's just him throwing a football at the camera.
Your videos were really, I was watching one of them earlier, and I liked it. It was really very well done.
Thanks.
So, did you do that at the place in...
Well, I don't know which one you're talking about. I don't know which video.
The full band video.
That's an official music video that I paid a videographer, make.
Oh, wow.
I had to pay somebody to make it.
Okay, cool. I saw Tristan playing with the video controls.
Next time I'll bring a guitar and I'll just sing something live.
Oh, that's cool.
I didn't know to do it this time. I'm sorry.
No, please don't be sorry. Most of the time they say, "Can I bring it? Can I bring it? Can I bring it?" I'm like, "Yes, please." So I was And this is also starting up in our second season, and
Congratulations.
yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this. This is I'm an introvert, big time.
Me too.
And it's hard sometimes for me to talk to people, but if I have a discussion about a shared interest, it's a lot easier, right? And the only way I knew to get information about how to navigate this weird-ass business was to ask people. And you'd be surprised how little people want to share unless they're on a podcast or something like that.
Well, you get those cameras on you that make you nervous. Like, you better not mess up. You better tell the truth, and you better deliver it in some way that's kind of interesting. Because we're both introverts. Cameras wasn't on. We might just sit here bored to death not saying a word.
Inspecting our navels.
Yeah.
No, there'd be things that we'd probably talk about that. And people are a little bit hesitant to talk about some things on a podcast or in the language that they would normally use than if they were just sitting across the table from each other, right?
Sure.
And so the decision to use Facebook was a pretty big part of that, because Facebook really doesn't care how you say it. You can use whatever language you choose to use to say whatever's on your mind, and they won't censor you. YouTube is the same way. So I don't have to worry about, I don't know, do you know who Matt Blackshear is? He is a local comedian, and
I used to know him. I remember him from way back in the day.
Little guy, yeah. That
Nice
man,
guy. He was always very nice to me.
he's very nice, but he cannot for the life of him go through a conversation without dropping the F-bomb at least 3 times. Kid you not.
Well,
And
it must be said sometimes.
it must be said sometimes.
At least written down.
But he's Matt. I mean, that's really all you can say. And sometimes it's a good thing to be able to say, I'm just Jason, right? Or I'm just Ann, or that's just Matt. Because then you're being your most true and honest self, and you're able to project that, hopefully, to your audience. We saw you at Best Burger Barn, and that was just a really great performance. There was a lot of music, because I actually don't listen to blues as much as then I didn't as I do now. I listen to it a lot more now, but there was a lot of pieces I didn't know, which was kind of nice. It was, learning about new music, but then you also threw in a few covers, which that helps me because, it gives me a reference, and I like to sing along with songs. That's just kind of a me thing.
I like to do them my own way. I'm too lazy to learn a cover the exact way it sounds on the record. And I don't want to listen to that either. I mean, I don't want to go hear a band play a song verbatim like it is on the record. That's just me personally. I don't hold anything against people that do, but I like when people take liberties with songs and make it their own, put their own flair in it. To an extent, there's certain songs that you can't do that on now, like Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits. That guitar solo's got to be that guitar solo. You can't play nothing else. Stairway to Heaven, you better play that solo note for note, or it's not going to be right.
I listened.
There's plenty of stuff up for out
there
for
a lot
improvisation.
Of things that you can change around. I listened to Hart sing Stairway to Heaven at the induction ceremony for Led Zeppelin to Music Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure that Led Zeppelin did not have a choir in there doing that, doing the some of the background vocals on that. It was actually a spectacular. It's Hart, for crying out loud, right? Yeah. Ann Wilson has got one of the best voices around. Personal opinion.
And she's gonna sound like Ann Wilson no matter what she sings.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah.
And I like that because I've got a pretty strong voice too, and knowing that I can do things like that. See, that was the thing that triggered me into be able to do things that I don't normally sing. Right. I've never really been very big. I love rock ballads, always have. There's that top 40s DJ thing, right? But not things like Stairway to Heaven, although it is a rock ballad, I guess. The thought that I could actually do something like that because I heard somebody else do it that's pretty spiffy.
Yeah,
I live for things like that,
for sure.
2017 Best Blues Act, according to the Dallas Observer. How did that impact your?
I don't know. It was real sweet of them. I was voted, I think, by the public in 2012 for that title.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's when all the blues communities had a lot of hope for me doing that, and nothing but that.
It was the Dallas Observer's Music Awards in 2012.
Yeah, and then in 2017, the Observer put out a best of the year. I don't think it was voted on by I think it was just what they thought was the best of.
Mm-hmm.
And I got put in there again, so which was nice because I don't really consider myself a blues artist. I'm more of a rock guy that has blues sensibilities.
Blues sensibilities.
Yeah, I understand the importance of space and soul and that timing that some blues attributes. But I always feel bad because there's so many real deal blues guys in the Dallas area that play play it like it's supposed to be played. So I always kind of felt guilty about that accolade.
Like it's supposed to be played.
Like if you're talking about blues, then there's people that do it a lot better than me. If you're talking about blues rock, hey, thanks. I'll accept the title. I'm flattered, and I think that's what I should be called.
Yeah.
But to be called something else when there's other people that are doing that, and it's just
there's so many different types of blues music though that
for sure.
That is there a right way to play it? I mean, Delta blues versus the some of the blues that you might find in Mississippi.
I wouldn't say a right way. I wouldn't say a right way, but there's people that are still carrying the torch of guys, of electric guitar players from the '60s and stuff that were innovators like Albert King and Freddie King and Magic Sam.
Right.
There's guys that play those styles really good and don't add outside influences to it, and they keep it more of a pure thing. Those are the guys that deserve the best blues band awards to me.
I don't know. I think music is a living, breathing creature.
No doubt, but when you're putting it into categories, there's the best country band, here's the best dance band, here's the best rock band, here's the best heavy metal band, here's the best blues band. There's no category for blues rock, so they just go,
okay,
let's put it here.
So we'll stick them in the blues one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have it. I can play blues right up there with some of them, but that's not my identity,
Right. Where did the name Hoodoo Witch come from?
Well, it's hard to name a band.
It is. I have discovered that. We have one that's called Aunt Pearl's Biscuits here.
All right.
And I'm like, that's interesting.
It's super tough. I took the name directly from an artist named Webb Wilder. He's a kind of a Americana rock act out of Austin, I believe. But he had a song on his first album that not a lot of people know of. It was called Hoodoo Witch. It was a cool enough song, but I just thought the name went good with the kind of a blues imagery of hoodoo, which is like a South African form of voodoo, which is popular with the blues folklore, of New Orleans and all that. And then witch just kind of went right along with it, like a witch doctor. Yeah. And I've always been into Halloween and stuff, so naturally witch is going to be awesome. And I thought it was the coolest name until I started trying to get people to spell it right, or to capitalize the right letter and not the D, or to just know, a lot of people have never heard hoodoo before, so they go, what? I showed up at a place across the river. I won't name it.
Okay.
It's directly across the river back in the day, and the marquee said Jason Elmore and his witch hats. That's how bad off they got it. Yeah, witch hats. It said it in lights right there.
Oh my
Mom,
gosh.
I've made the big time. And ever since then, you never know what it's going to be, especially if you're touring and it's a place that's not familiar with you, and they just they get it. Maybe they hear it and write it down wrong. It's Jason Elmore and the Hoodoo Witches, or the it's always something like that. It's never right. It's never exactly right, and it just kills me. So I wish like hell I would have named it something else back when I had a chance. Or I wish I wasn't. No, I'm in so deep. If I rename it, it's gonna be the same music, the same personnel, the same
And then you have to
Same-
start from the bottom and
same-
go all the way back up
yeah,
again, right?
Hey, this must be some new band.
For that
No,
recognition.
same assholes, different name. So that's where that come from.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Because in listening to your music, and maybe I'm missing something, but I don't hear a lot of Delta blues sounds.
Well, there's a lot of different kinds of blues, like you said, other than Delta.
Right.
We don't.
And that's why I was thinking voodoo, which
I'm
is
from
kind of
Texas, not from Mississippi.
Right.
So
I was just thinking because New Orleans is one of my favorite
Sure.
places, so I know the history. And, go back to that I like history thing. So hoodoo, I understood. I knew what hoodoo was or is. And to me, that kind of said, yeah, okay, we're getting a little bit of Delta blues in here, but I don't hear that a whole lot.
not so
is
much.
that not something
I'm more
that
of
interests you
I'm
that
more
much?
more influenced by Texas blues
Right.
guys, which is Texas blues is known for being more guitar based, more guitar driven than Chicago or Mississippi blues, more electric guitar driven, or acoustic in Lightning Hopkins' case. But I've always gravitated towards that more than the Chicago or Mississippi blues. Unless I've done a lot of acoustic stuff, just doing like pre-war stuff, Lightning Hopkins, Sun House type Robert Johnson type
Oh, yeah, okay.
old blues.
Old blues.
So I've done a lot of that in my time. I forgot where I was going with it. Sorry, I'm scatterbrained. But yeah, no, it was just a cool name. It didn't mean anything. And I'll say this, which is fun. The Granada Theater in Dallas is one of the places where I was, I got
I know the
hired to
Granada.
open for some bigger names. I've always been lucky in that regard. And the first time they were like, well, we're just going to call it the Jason Elmore Band. Like, the name's just kind of weird, and it kind of infers some witchcraft and
Really?
some weird imagery like that. Fast forward to 2024, bands called Cattle Decapitation and all these
Bands full
all
of
these
nuns.
death metal bands are playing
know,
now. And they were worried about Hoodoo Witch at a time.
I don't.
I don't begrudge them for it, but it's ironic that. It's just that damn name. It's that damned name.
It's that damn name. My grandmother lived half a block away from the Granada for a majority of her life. So on Saturdays, they used to do cartoons and kid movies. And so my parents would drop us off at the Granada and then go visit my grandmother and pick us up when it was done. So I know that theater very, very well. It's a really pretty cool little place.
Yeah, it's fun to play shows there. They make you feel like you're somebody.
Yeah. Do you not feel like you're somebody? Because just looking at it, you're a big deal.
No, I've not got to the level that I'm happy with as far as
What would you be happy
ability.
with?
If I was better, if I was just better. I just
Right,
want
but
to
how
keep
would that-
getting better.
What? Okay, so I do technical support for a living. What are the metrics that would say you're better?
I don't know. I would just know it when I feel it, I guess. I guess I just know when I
I
feel
think
it.
you're probably never going to feel
I'm
that.
sure I've come to grips with the fact that I never will, and it used to bum me out. But as
I
I
don't
got
think
older,
any of us
as I
ever
got
did.
older, I've accepted it that that's just something that everybody does, and I think most creative minds and artists are that way. They never get complacent, or if they do,
You hope they don't.
Yeah,
You
hope
would
they
hope
don't.
they don't.
Plenty of them do, but
Yeah.
I hope not to. I just want to keep getting better. I can't play or sing or write the way I want to yet. The way I can
The way you
hear it
envision.
in my heart, in my head.
Mhm.
But it's something fun to get up and work towards every day.
The Balcony Club. You're going to be there Friday night, 9:30. There's a group coming in before you, the Woo Brothers or something of that nature.
The Balcony Club is a popular jazz club in Dallas, and they hire a
Yeah, I
band
always
at
thought that was
6:30.
kind of
They have a band at 6:30 and a band at 9:30 every day. So they're really good about supporting the local music scene. There's a lot of jazz, a lot of blues, a lot of in between.
Yeah.
We're kind of in between Friday night. We're not going to be playing a lot of rock songs, but we'll be serenading those young people that are drinking pretty glasses and telling lies to the opposite sex.
I've been intending to get around there at some point, and I've for whatever reason I'm just too busy to get there.
It's a long ways off.
It's a trek.
Yeah.
I know that you're that you had been living in Garland, so that makes it easier. Being up here, does that make it? I mean, how much does that change your?
I moved off from here about 15 or 20 years ago, or 15 maybe, probably 15 years living in Garland and Richardson area. But recently, my grandparents here in Denison, who I was very close to, both passed away in the last year.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, they were old. They had good lives. They had a good run.
Yeah,
my grandpa used to say. My grandpa used to say, "Hell, I've lived older than I should have already." They did well, and but I was able to buy their house when they passed, and it was a house I grew up in, and it's kind of a
nice.
It was built in '56 and still has a lot of the cool vibe from. They didn't update it much in the 60-something years they lived there.
I understand.
So it's got some really cool things about it, and we went remodeling that, and it's, it is kind of a pain to drive. Most of my shows are up in the DFW area. I'm trying to book more around here as well to kind of balance it out.
Yeah, so you're going to be at 1880 Ice House.
Yeah, it's not as much of a next week, right? The drive's not too bad now that I quit drinking alcohol, or now that I'm taking a break from it.
I'm sorry.
I used to just do it anyway, but I haven't been drinking for the last. I haven't been drinking for the last couple of years, and it just makes it a lot easier to.
You save some money that way too. Save a lot of money.
Yeah, I feel great the next day and get up and work out instead of feeling like jumping off of the balcony club.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's good. It's a bit of a drive, but it's what are you gonna do? Some people get up and drive to the Metroplex, Monday through Friday, every day in rush hour. I don't have to do that, so.
Oh yes, thankfully that's kind of nice.
And hopefully I get a decent reputation established around here again. I used to have a pretty good one.
I don't think you'll have a problem.
If I didn't ruin it.
I don't think you'll have a problem. Okay, so I know that alcohol abuse and drug abuse is particularly rife amongst creative people. Mm-hmm. It has been for decades that way. And I know that I have quite a few musician friends who do not partake anymore of one thing or another. That changes your viewpoints on a lot of things, I'm sure. And, I mean, do you discuss that with any of your contemporaries, or is it just we do it?
I don't talk about it with anybody, really, other than my wife. It's just not a big deal. I decided that I was doing too much drinking and having to depend on that to perform. I'd gotten a 20-year habit of drinking when I perform and getting my nerves loosened up. And I'm not the kind that can drink a couple of drinks and shut it down. I'm drinking at 7 the next morning and mad at everybody else that won't drink with me.
Okay.
So it just came a time, and the older you get, the worse hangovers hang on. And it started really lasting for 2 or 3 days.
Really kick your ass.
And it really started affecting my mental health.
Yeah.
And I went for years going, well, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why. But I decided to quit drinking or just to put it on pause. And, several months later, it's been 2 years now, and I want to get back to drinking in the worst way. I'm scared to because I feel so good now. I'm so much clearer. My performances are so much better. My music's better. Everything's better.
I have a friend who's a recovering alcoholic.
I smoke all the reefer you can throw at me, but
yeah.
I'm hesitant to have a sip of drink because I want to keep on going, Mama.
So the difference between the two being that there's no hangover, right, and that it does not change you mentally.
No, it changes your blood sugar. It makes you hungry, but I find the good far outweighs the bad for me, at least.
That's actually also a very common thread. I hear that a lot. I have my daughter, in fact, even uses marijuana as she has anxiety.
Sure.
Social anxiety a lot.
It can help. It can sure cause it too if you take it one toke over the line.
Yeah.
There's a fine line with it. And I think a lot of the stigma from the past generations and decades are starting to lighten up a little bit now. People are realizing that it's not going to make you commit violent crimes and ruin the youth of the nation. We've got TikTok for that.
Yeah.
No, I kid. I don't know if TikTok's bad or not. I've never been on it. But I've been on that reefer, believe that, and it's good for me. It's been nothing but a positive thing.
It does the job. I mean, and you know, everybody should have the ability to choose whether that's something that they want to do or not, without any sort of societal impact, right?
Ideally.
I choose not to, but that's because I don't smoke anything ever.
That's best.
Oh, that's just me, right? I've been singing for so long that I never wanted to change my vocal sound because of an inhaled product.
Sure.
So I choose not to. Edibles make me sick as a dog. So we're not doing that one again either. And by the same token, I take too many meds to really drink. So does that impair your ability sometimes to socialize? It does mine. I don't socialize very easily at all. It has a lot to do with the introvert and a lot to do with, having been fluffy my entire life.
I don't know. I think some of us are just wired that way. I've never been one to really socialize. I didn't really fit in when I was a kid. I didn't feel like I did. Didn't feel like I had as much in common with everybody else that everybody else seemed to have with each other. And I still feel that way. And I'm fine with being by myself. If I got locked in solitary confinement in prison, I know everybody probably says this. Mm-hmm. It would be fine for me. I think I would thrive.
As long as I had something to read, I'd be okay.
Yeah, it would get boring, but I'm pretty weird. I can entertain myself in a lot of ways with singing out loud and doing push-ups and stuff. I guess there's only so many you can do, though, before you want to talk to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I think my husband would die if he couldn't actually talk to other people in some way.
Some people are like that.
Fashion. But he's he can entertain himself with much greater facility than I can. So, he's got that going for him too.
I really enjoy conversation. I like talking to people if it's somebody that knows how to conversate well, give and take. Not everybody knows how to play back and forth with conversation in a good way.
Yeah.
You're very good at it.
Oh, thank you.
But not everybody has that, and that's aggravating when you just can't get on the same ground with somebody, and they're waiting to talk instead of listening.
And it just kind of drops off.
And you're like, oh damn, I could be practicing guitar right now.
Go home now. Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. No, I get.
But I do love stimulating conversation especially over topics that I'm interested in or that I know something about. I can talk all day. I can really get in the weeds and nerd out about stuff, and feel weird. Like I feel like I'm talking too much.
You're not.
No, I mean if we get in the weeds about
I see.
F sharp diminished scales and Van Halen and stuff like that I really know about.
Last week it was Wes Jeans.
Oh, Wes is wonderful.
He's a really nice guy.
I love Wes.
He can talk the hind end off a donkey. And we've had some people who just, for me, it's great to have conversation. I really enjoy that. That's the best thing about this is I get to sit down and talk to interesting people about a shared interest, and that just floats my boat most of the time. Right?
You're doing something really cool. I got to tell you,
Thank you.
It's good for the community, just the music community in general, and people like me really depend on any help we can getting our name out there or getting to talk with people about what we do and stuff like that. So thanks for letting me be a part of this.
Well, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. So I've got to do my end of episode stuff, which is to say that one of our supporters is 4 Gifts Unique across the hall. They are at 4giftsunique.com, and they carry a lovely selection of things like teas and scone mixes and some really pretty jewelry. I go in there, and I almost invariably come out with a pair of earrings. If you go in there this month and say that you heard it on Open Mic with Ann House, you will get 20% off of one item. And I really hope that you go in there and take a look at what she's got. She's open Monday through Saturday. She is not open on Sunday, and her hours are on her website, or you can find her on Facebook. It's about time for us to end. It has become dark outside. We're sitting here in the big fishbowl at the Podcast on Main studio that belongs to Split Window. It has been an absolute joy. I am so glad that we got a chance to do this. I know that we missed it last season, but This has been a really great conversation. I enjoyed it quite a lot.
Yeah, thanks for letting me do it.
Oh, no, please. That's the best part, is having somebody come in and be able to have a conversation like that, because not everybody is able to do that. Some people like to take over their conversations, and it worked out really, really well. I appreciate you coming.
Well, it felt comfortable to me. It was real comfortable on my end, so thanks.
I'm glad that it was comfortable for you. Oh, it's a picture-taking time.
All right. And folks can find more about my stuff at jasonelmore.net or any of the social media sites, Instagram, Facebook, and my YouTube channel, Jason Elmore Official Music. That's my music channel. I upload live shows, acoustic solo stuff, duo stuff, just a lot of performance-based things. I'm going to start uploading like guitar lesson type things to my YouTube channel soon. So people go there and subscribe and stuff.
My YouTube channel, everything's just kind of like higgledy-piggledy up there. So you get episodes of the podcast and things where I've sung and all sorts of good stuff. On the end credits, your website's at the very end, so y'all, if you check the end credits, you'll be able to see the proper spelling for everything, because copy and paste is a thing. And we didn't get to the videos tonight, but that just says that we had a great conversation.
Yeah, I enjoyed talking to you. People can find the videos on just
online.
A little bit of homework. It's not hard. You've come this far, folks. Come on. Click a couple more little things.
You can click the links. You can go to the YouTube and subscribe and follow, and do that on Facebook for both of us, and House Music on Facebook. You can see the links or see the indicators on the closing credits. And hey, thanks.
Yeah, get in there.